Hey friends, Brother Raw with you. Now, I know I said I wouldn't be making another YouTube video until my 2 week social media fast was over, but I think this one is too important to put off for a couple weeks, and that'll be rather obvious to you as to why. Um, so, what I want to talk about in this particular video is, and a few people have asked me about it, so I thought I'd tackle it. Is It's an important question, very important question actually. Is what's with the late additions to the Bible? So you got the woman who's confronted, or you got the story of the woman caught or confronted about adultery, and from John 7:53 to 8 verse 11, and you've got the verse in 1 John 5:7, which is, and there are three who bear witness in heaven: the Father, the Word, and the Spirit, and these three are one. So the question is, what are we supposed to make of these? And what should we do about them, right? So first of all, let's tackle the theology of them, right? Because so if you look at the addition of the woman caught in adultery in John 7:53 to John 8 verse 11, it seems to be fitting with Jesus' character and person about how he would deal with such a thing. And you've got John, 1 John 5:7. There are three who bear witness in heaven, and the Father, the Word, and the Spirit, and these three are one. Now, they both seem to be in keeping with one who, like the woman caught in adultery, seems to be in keeping with the character and person of Jesus. And 1 John 5:7 about three who bear witness in heaven, the Father, Word, and the Spirit, certainly is consistent with John's theology about the Trinity. Now, I wish it was not an addition. I wish neither of those were additions, because 1 John 5:7 would be the most obvious and clearest indication of the doctrine of the Trinity in this verse. And the woman caught in adultery is like, it's a beautiful display of Jesus' love and forgiveness, and his willingness to display mercy in the face of hostility and condemnation. So it's really unfortunate that both of those are actually not. And what we have found in the earliest manuscripts of Scripture concerning parts concerning John. I know there are others too, but I just thought, for the sake of argument, because these two are the most probably well known. One because one has to do with the doctrine of Trinity, and the other one has to do with the fact that it's kind of out of place. I mean, we're going to grab my Bible for a minute, but it's rather obvious too that the story about the woman caught in adultery is out of place. See, so you got Jesus ends rejection of authorities, right? The answer said to him, "Are you not from Galilee? Search and look, for no prophet has arisen out of Galilee." Now look at verse 12. Then Jesus spoke to him, "I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but the light of life." Then Jesus defends his witness. The Pharisees said to him, "You bear witness of yourself." See, he's rejecting authorities, and then back in 8:12 and so on, Jesus just defends himself. Now that seems like that would be a logical flow from the verse 52 of John 7 and John 8 verse 12. It seems like they would be more content. Anyway, the story of the woman caught in adultery and brought before Jesus doesn't seem, it's an obvious interjection in the flow of the story between John 7:52 and John 8 verse 12. Because if you leave the story out of the woman caught and was dragged before Jesus and presented to him as a means by which, of course, the authorities who tried to trap Jesus' own words, it's pretty obvious that if you drop that story, it would be a much more logical flow story in terms of storyline. Now, of course, as I said, and I'll say it again, that the story of the woman caught in adultery and how Jesus addresses the issue is certainly keeping with who Jesus is, and it's certainly in keeping with who John has presented Jesus to be. And then, of course, again, as I said, 1 John 5:7, there are three who bear witness: the Father, the Spirit, and the Word, and these three are one. Now, that's certainly, again, in keeping with John's theology of Jesus being God and the Trinity being biblical, which, John exemplifies two things most repeatedly about Jesus. One is that Jesus is God, and that he is the light who's come into the world. He's the Messiah. He is the true promised Messiah. So this is so these things are in keeping. But the thing is, but they're still additions. So again, the question is, what do we do with the fact that these are additions? That in all likelihood, John never wrote either of these things. So this is something I've never really put too much thought in, and maybe I should have, but I just because of those things, like because of the things I've already mentioned, that the story of the woman of Jesus being of the woman being caught in adultery and brought before Jesus, and the verse in 1 John 5:7, they both seem to be in keeping with, first of all, Jesus' character, and second of all, John's theology, which had already been established by the time both of those texts were found as late additions. So for me, I don't really concern myself too much with it. I mean, if it was like blatant heresy, if it was like John doing about 180, then of course, I don't think it would be in there anyways, because then it wouldn't be consistency with Scripture. So if it was something to reject the divinity of Jesus Christ, or something that would be contrary to what John's already established with the person and character of Jesus, I probably wouldn't have been added later on to begin with. And that was probably the only reason it was because it was keeping with those two things: the person and the person and work of Jesus, and also the theology of John, which was already established. But there's still the question of why. Why were they added on, and what was the purpose of it? Well, I think it may be just for this woman caught in adultery. I think, if nothing else, I think the addition is still, it's a beautiful story about Jesus' mercy, even if it's a late addition. Now, I'm not saying it should be added. I'm just saying I'm glad it is. I'm glad it's known, even though it's a late addition. And the thing is, just because it's a late addition doesn't mean it wasn't necessarily John who wrote it. We don't know if John wrote it for certain, but we can't say it for sure, and that's why it's always put it in footnotes that this was a late edition. It wasn't found in the earliest manuscript. So I've got New King James Version. I'll tell you what it says about this. Let's see. Okay, John 7:53. Text reads very early. Let's see. Words and everyone, no synonym or are bracketed in NU. Text are not original. They are present in over 900 manuscripts. And let's see. Okay, yeah, I think. Well, yeah, it's the pretty much most people. Yeah, this one doesn't say it's it's an addition, but there are other translations. I believe that the New American Standard Bible notes it as a. I believe the NIV does as well. Notes that these are late additions. Actually, I'm going to look at the other verse that I mentioned about 1 John 5:7. I'm curious what footnotes say about that one in this version. Okay. 1 John 5:7. For there are three that bear witness in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Spirit, and these three are one. Oh. Okay, it says that the original text omits in heaven the three who bear witness. The three who bear witness, the Father, Word, and well, I mean, whether or not it says heaven doesn't seem to make a bit of a difference in my mind because the Trinity is omnipresent. So, but suffice to say, this version doesn't say that the text word late additions in either 1 John 5:7 or in John 7:53 to 8:11. But they are. But my friends, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, I wasn't, obviously none of us were there when they were written and added, and sometimes we don't know. We just there's no way to know for certain why they were added. But I think when it comes to women adultery, I think it may be that people were trying to display the mercy of Jesus, which is something. It's a beautiful thing to behold, of course. And I think that also that someone was probably trying to slip in the Trinity doctrine, obviously, for 1 John 5:7, which would, again, I wish that was not a late edition either, because then it would be the most simple verse about defending the Trinity ever. I'm not saying that the doctrine of Trinity can't be Trinity. I mean, can't be defended. I mean, I've done a video on that. It's on my buddy Luke Armstrong's channel. But if you just you Google search, YouTube search Rob Groon, Luke Armstrong, the Divinity of Christ, you can find my message there. But yeah, I think in terms of, I don't think it's something you should lose sleep over, but if it's something that's interesting you, I mean, to me, it's not really personal of interest. I just thought I'd tackle it for a bit in this video, just because it seems to be that it's troubled a few people, and I don't want people to be troubled by things like this, or I don't want people to be able to believe the Bible. So, okay, they're added on, and if you disregard those two texts, and you still have the real Jesus. So, either way, the doctrine of Trinity is sound. The mercy of Jesus is sound. And the theology of John is very sound. I think I'll just leave it at that. All right, peace out, Brother Rob.